aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode. Thank you for joining me here today on the Rebel Alliance podcast. And I think this is episode 29. I might have miscounted a few days ago when I started doing this, but I got to double take. Man, I might be in the 30s, but I really got to get that down. But anyways, thanks for coming by today. We are extremely late today. And that is because if you've gone over to eastcoastpma.com, the website is down right now. There's been some domain issues that we're working out. So hopefully it'll be up by the end of today, maybe, hopefully. But before we get started in today's topic about a few different things that I want to talk about, and that's going to be common law versus statutory law, and then incorporated versus unincorporated, because yet again, somebody has shared a video with me that others have been putting out there, and I just want to make sure you guys are getting the right info. So that being said, anything you see here, depending if you're watching or listening, doesn't constitute tax or legal advice. It's just one person's opinion on the topic. And a couple of the books we're going to get into today, I'm going to show you that I've pulled this documents from. Once East Coast PMA is back up and running, I will put these documents and some other cool documents we're going to talk about today that I found during some research that I think if you are in the UK area, you might find interesting. And then some other stuff about unincorporated associations and private membership associations and that sort of thing, from some older texts that you might find relevant and might be a good read for you and answer a lot of questions you have. So that being said, if you'd like to support this live stuff I'm doing every day, or the channel or the website, there's some links there once it's back up on the left hand or right hand side that you can utilize to help support this. If you are looking to get a Start 9 Embassy server, feel free to use this code here, Rebel Alliance, to get 9% off of your purchase. That also helps us, or helps me, I should say, keep this up and running, as this does take time. So that being said, I'm going to have the chats up. If you are on X, we should see your questions, but I don't have a huge following on X, so I don't expect to see any questions. And if you're on YouTube, feel free to shout out where you're from and what type of association you have, if you have one, or questions as we're going through this. So two of the books that I utilized, and then there's some PDF stuff that, again, that I said I was going to upload, is right here. We have the Constitutional Law Desk book, which is a great find. You can get this at your law library and make photocopies of pages and sections in it. Or if you wanted to, just put that down there. You can buy it on Amazon, eBay. And then I picked up this copy of Black's Law's Dictionary, which if you go to the website, once it's back up, you can get a PDF version of it. I think it might either be the 2nd or 8th edition. I think that one's the 5th. And hopefully I can get this without coughing today. But I get questions once in a while about, like, common law versus statutory law. And, the video that was shared with me had some stuff to do with the 14th Amendment in associations, and then incorporated and unincorporated. And some of the stuff was okay. But once somebody starts talking about correcting your status and stuff like that, it's just, I should have just watched a cooking video. So that being said, let's dive right into this. And, it's my Friday from my full-time job. So I'm having a little Mad Elf. If you guys haven't tried it, you should give it a shot. It's pretty good. So, I've already had my coffee, overslept, dealing with the website being down. But anyways, let's get into this. All right. Common law and statutory law, right? Let's talk about origins and development. So common law originates from the traditions and histories and historical court judgments and decisions. It is primarily judge-made law, evolving from case to case and based on principles and precedents that were set by these cases. Case law is what we refer to. And then the system is it's characteristic of the UK and countries influenced by its legal traditions like the US, Canada, and Australia. So as we founded this country, a lot of the stuff that we brought over was considered or was common law, and it's still in practice today and still used. We still refer to case law and case precedents and that sort of things. And if a judge has ruled on, let's say, jaywalking 500 times, they're not going to reopen that. They're going to go off of the past practice and the precedents set by the courts prior to that, unless there is something majorly different in the case, right? Now, statutory law is created through a legislation process by national, state, or local governments. It is written law formally enacted by legislative bodies. So again, common law is past practice, so to speak. It's cases that have been made and judges have ruled on, and juries have ruled on, and that sets that case precedence. Statutory law is made by our legislative branches. So if you have a statutory law on the books that you don't like, it's not that it's not a law or it's not enforceable. It's just that the elected officials that you elected at your local level have made these laws, and then maybe you need to vote these people out or run for office and change things. So at the local level, those statutory laws can change. Now, flexibility and adaptability. Common law is more flexible as it can evolve and adapt over time through judicial decisions. Judge interprets the law, and the decisions can set new precedents. And we saw that with some major cases over the last year. And then statutory law is obviously less flexible. It requires new legislation to be amended and update existing statutes. Changes or updates to statutory laws must go through the legislative process. So again, we can kind of start to see the difference here. And this is where I think, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, because I think sometimes there is so much bad information out there or misguided information when it comes to this stuff, where it kind of people, can't see the forest through the trees, so to speak. And let's see, predictability. So common law can sometimes lack predictability since it relies heavily on judicial interpretation and individual case decisions, right? So we saw that over the past year with some major cases happening where the decision was taken away from the federal government, as it should be, and given back to the individual states, right? Because if you're like me, you feel that the government is too fat and happy, it's overreaching and encroaching on our rights, and we need a leaner and less intrusive government. So with statutory law, it tends to offer more certainty and predictability as it is written and codified, making the laws clear and accessible, right? So it's very clear cut and dry when it comes to statutory laws. If we start talking about the scope in detail, I'm just going to take a look at comments real quick, see if we have any. No comments right now. And we actually have one viewer from X. That's kind of cool. Nobody from YouTube. Well, it's a different time, so people probably are like, where the hell are you today? And why aren't you on? And you're not here. And so now they're getting the notification late, and they're probably like, yeah, sorry, we've got other things going on. But anyways, whoever's watching on X, thanks for checking in with us. So scope and detail. Common law often is more a general in scope. It may not cover every possible situation, leaving gaps that are filled by judicial interpretation and decisions. So you see those two words coming up a lot when you talk about common law. It's interpretation and decision, right? Now, if we look at statutory law, it's usually more detailed and specific, covering a wider range of scenarios and providing explicit instructions and definitions. So as we move forward, let me just scroll down here, and I'm got notes today that I'm reading just to stay hopefully on topic. Application and jurisdiction. Common law applies within common law jurisdiction and is influenced by the historical and cultural context of those jurisdictions. So like we said earlier, Canada and Australia, that sort of thing, it'd be a little bit different than here. And then statutory law, applicable, I can talk today, where the relevant legislative body has authority. It can be influenced by political, social, and economic factors. So just because there's a statutory law here in Connecticut doesn't mean it's going to apply in Massachusetts or New York. so to speak. And then let's see, precedence in case and conflict. In many jurisdictions, statutory law takes precedence over common law. If there is a conflict between the statutes and the common law principle, the statute typically prevails. Um, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but that's just, kind of something the one eye can't see out of. Go figure. Um, it's just kind of again the 30,000 foot view. It might be different in whatever county, providence, borough, whatever it's called in your area, might be. Um, Role of judges and legislators. So, with common law, judges play a critical role in shaping the law through their decisions and interpretations. Now, we've kind of seen some weaponization of the justice system over the last couple years. Hopefully, that terminology does not get me banned somewhere, but it probably will. And we've seen it in a couple court cases that have been out there, depending on what type of alternative news you listen to. You probably know what I'm talking about. And if I say his name, then I'm definitely going to get flagged. So that's not going to happen. Um, and then statutory law, legislators are responsible for creating, amending the statutory laws while judges interpret and apply these statutes. So we can see that going through this, that, a lot of the common law stuff is open to interpretation based on whatever judge or jury is looking at that. And they're going to rely heavily on past cases and precedents set by decisions in other courts or within that district, as opposed to statutory law, where it's more in tune with that specific area. So, like, statutory laws in Connecticut are going to be different than that in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, that sort of thing. And so that's my take on the 30,000 foot view on common law versus statutory law. I know there's probably way more in depth videos or podcasts about this topic, but again, I try to keep this as simple as possible. And thank you for those who have jumped on. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you're listening to this after the fact or just the audio version, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me an email. All my contact information is in the descriptions. So if you do have a question on any of this, feel free to reach out. And again, all the stuff I'm going to be talking about and some of the PDFs and stuff like that, I will be sharing with you on East Coast PMA as soon as it is back up and running properly. So let me just move this over to here. I got too many screens set up. So, excuse me. There's that cough. When we start talking about corporations and unincorporated or corporated and unincorporated, I try to use the best legal definition I can find. And the thing is, when you look in either the Black's Law or Black's Law Online, any legal dictionaries, you're not going to find much when it comes to unincorporated. It's going to be unincorporated associations as opposed to corporation. So, and I will put this up there so you guys can read it for yourself. But a corporation is an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation, composed in some rare instances of a single person and his successor, being the incumbent of a particular office, but ordinarily consisting of an association of numerous individuals. Such entities subside a body politically under a special denomination, which is regarded in the law of having a personality and existence distant from that of its several members, and which is by the same authority vested with the capacity and continuous succession, and so on and so on and so on. And this goes into Dartmouth College versus Woodward of, what year is this? It doesn't say. Why doesn't it say? Anyways, I copied this out of the Black's Law. I'll look and see if I can get the actual date. And then U.S. versus Trinidad Coal Company. And when you're talking about a corporation, you're talking about something that is created. Sometimes it has a, depending on where you are in most places, corporations have that individual personality type stuff. Hold on one second. I'm live right now. Okay, I'll be right out. Okay, I'm online. Okay, so this is my daughter interrupting me. So that being said, with the I got to get the on it live on air outside of here on the front door. So with the corporation, they have sometimes you can see that when you look at things, they'll have the actual um, rights as an individual, so to speak, to some extent, not fully, but they're looked at as an individual sometimes because it's easier to sue the company than it is to sue all the board members of the company, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. And then when we start talking about unincorporated, it's just a entity that isn't incorporated at the local, state, or town or state level, or you're not set up as an S corp, an LLC, or anything like that. You're just unincorporated. You have no charter. You don't have anything with the state, so to speak. So when we talk about unincorporated associations or private membership associations, the unincorporated association, as defined through Black's law, is a voluntary group of persons without a charter formed by mutual consent for purposes of promoting common enterprises or prosecuting common objectives. And that comes from the local the local 4076 United Steelworkers of America versus United Steelworkers of America. And then it goes on to say that an organization composed of a body of persons united with a charter for the prosecution of a common enterprise, and that is Hefts. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Versus Rockaway Point Volunteer Fire Department out of New York, and I will put this all online for you, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And then I had some stuff from the Constitutional Desk Law book that I don't know where it went to. I hate that technical difficulties today have been the word of the day because it has been nonstop between the website going down and everything else. But let me see here if I can open this up real quick. So when you go on the website, once it's back up, you can get into and maybe I'll pull up some other stuff out here because out of the content the constitutional law desk book, it covers stuff like common law, the Constitution of the United States, and then we get into, once we get past constitutionalism, and we get into, where is, I think that is section why can't I find what I'm looking for? Okay, so we get into chapter 8, legal words and phrases, and you get into the section 810, which is assembly right to, section 811, association right to, and it goes into a lot of the cases that you're probably familiar with when it comes to um, the associations, the NAACP versus Alabama and stuff like that. That's where this stuff comes from. And I wish I had it pulled up in front of me. I did. I don't know what I did with it, but anyways, you'll have that up there as a PDF that you can download, and it goes into why and where it's protected through the Constitution and how it's protected, the right of association, and to have your unincorporated associations and that sort of thing, which we've gone over in other videos. I just don't know why it's not up in front of me. I thought it was, which is super annoying. But hey, Jen, thanks for checking in. Glad to have you on here. Let me know if you have any questions. So I do have some new documents that I haven't posted anywhere yet, and I'm going to put those up there. Let me just see real quick if I can find what I'm looking for here in section 8. Let's see, that's the Sixth Amendment, privacy protection, equal protection and privacy. Let me see. So, all right. So, Section 810, the right to assemble, is a fundamental right provided by the First Amendment. Right of assembly provides that the people are entitled peaceably. If I can use my good eye here, I'm telling you, sometimes it's hard to read. Peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. It includes the right to protest government policies as well as advocate particular, even distasteful views. The right to assemble generally involves speech, plus, this is the expression with an association actions component such as demonstration, government marches, so on and so forth. But it goes on to start talking about the right of association, and that's in Section 811. And it's the legal right of a group of people acting together to advance a mutual interest or achieve a common objective. And then it goes into the right of association, not expressly protected by the First Amendment. It is diverged from the safeguards of expression and assembly contained in the First Amendment. And then it goes into talking about the NAACP versus Alabama in 1958, which I'm sure if you've been looking into associations at all, you've seen that. So I'll get this up there. I have it all transcribed into a PDF for you. But I just kind of like wanted to go over today, the difference between statutory and common law, at the higher level view, not getting lost, wrapped up around the axles or not being able to see the trees through the forest type thing. And then going into the difference between incorporated and unincorporated. And really, when it comes to corporations, just, think of anything that is a artificial person or legal entity that's created under the authority of a state or nation. So if you have an LLC, an S corp, or anything like that, right? And they have their place. Like we tell people sometimes that it's important to maybe have a LLC managed association where you have an anonymous LLC set up out of Wyoming that manages the association and takes care of all the banking and stuff like that. And then on the backside, that is that LLC manages that association where all your members meet and all the other transactions that might take place within the association happen there. There's different reasons for doing it different ways. And that's why it's important to meet with somebody, either myself or the ladies over at the PMA manifesto, to make sure you're being set up correctly, because a lot of the other people you'll see online will sell you carbon copy documents from somebody else that they got, and you don't really know what you're getting. And like I said, I've seen some from some companies that charge over $5,000, and their documents were written for somebody in Texas but reference the state of Vermont's constitution. So you really got to make sure you read what you're getting and you understand what you're getting, and you can actually talk to somebody, spend some time on the phone with them or a video chat where you can get your questions answered and make sure things are being set up properly. Because there's been times I've told people, hey, listen, you don't need an association, just keep running as a sole proprietorship, or running as the LLC that you have. It just makes more sense. There are times when it doesn't make sense, or maybe you're like the folks over at Liberty Dollar Financial Association who haven't, they don't want to do the anonymous LLC, but they do the unincorporated business trust, was kind of puts everything kind of in the same place. It's just one's an older form of way of doing things, which is still completely legitimate now, is having that unincorporated business trust hold the association. It's giving you more layers of defense. It's giving you more options to do things within your association. So that's another thing that's important, is not only just watching videos on YouTube and listening to people like me, or maybe some other people that are giving bad information and just really on the fringe of things, so to speak. But you want to make sure that you're getting good information. So that being said, again, when it comes to the unincorporated associations or unincorporated anything, it's not a artificial person. Well, I take that back. In some states, unincorporated associations are seen as legal entities. In other states, they're not. Again, there's stuff on the website. Please be up before the end of the day today, where you can find that those posts that I've written about, and I think I've outlined the states. If you can't find it, let me know, and I will find that document and I will get it up there. Then one of the things I wanted to share with you all, and if you're watching this on the replay or you're listening to the audio, there's a couple different things I'm going to be putting up on the website that are going to be available. and it's the law of unincorporated associations and similar relations. And this was by Snyder uh, Wrightington, and this is out of the Boston Bar. And I think this was from 1916. Older information, but still applies. It's a 3-part book that I had, a 3-part PDF that I had to download in 3 parts because it was so large. Haven't gone through it all yet, but there is some really good information in there, and simple things just like definitions and everything like that. So there's that, and then there's the unincorporated associations, their legal status in Pennsylvania, and some of the rights and obligations there too. So that's something that's in a little bit of an older document also, but again, nobody's recreating the wheel when it comes to this stuff, so this stuff still applies. So that'll be up there. And then for all you friends over the pond, I have a document that is out of Northern Ireland Legal Quarterly, and it's questioning the legal status of unincorporated associations. Very interesting read. I don't know why all of a sudden when I started doing some research, I got stuff coming up for Australia and the UK. So as I download this stuff and put it together, I will be putting it up onto the website. So make sure you check on a regular basis there. And I do apologize again today for this being such a late video and stuff like that. But I will see you on the next episode or next transmission episode, whatever you'd like to call it. But thanks for watching. Hopefully this answered some of your questions, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.
There aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.